name's Zeke Anderson with Three Arrows Forge. Three Arrows Forge is more of a hobby and a lifestyle hobby more than anything. We try to break even every year, which means we make a lot of stuff, we buy a lot of stuff, we give a lot of stuff away. Started this passion really of making axes and knives to be able to bond with my son. And I got 3 sons, one's 9 and one's 13 and one's 16. My 16-year-old is now a full-time blacksmith. He actually works for a master blacksmith down in Fort Mill. So I guess it stuck, at least some of it did. But the project that we worked on here for you, for Josh, and for everyone else is just very typical of the kind of things we do. Josh came to us and said, got a guy that does axes, and it's kind of what he does, and want to make something special for him, something one of a kind. So there's nothing better, especially in forging or any kind of crafts, than recycling. So that's what we did. We recycled some hammers. Take the claw hammer. Josh did some swinging out there, drew the head out into a nice blade, drew the claws out into a nice spiral. I've made a lot of these. Everyone's unique, everyone's different, and that's the point, is to do something unique and different. This is a ball peen hammer, and to be honest, this one to me is more functional, especially for like a camp hatchet or something. Nice sharp blade, will probably shave, so be careful with it. But also the hammer is very functional. So to do these, we call them hammer hawks. And they're really, you got a chassis here because you got the metal all set up, and this is good metal. It's not gonna melt in the forge. Mm-hmm. So this exact hammer size, we were messing around. Zeke was messing around to keep his chops up, and that's the kind of thing that we can make. However, you don't have to put the spike on the end. A lot of people like the hammer because it's multifunction. You could take the hatchet in the woods, and if you're camping, flip it over, drive in tent stakes or something like that. Cool. So, I mean, so this forge will get up to about 2,500 degrees. So it'll get up to what they call forge welding temperature, and right now it's wood and everything. It's an oxygen-rich environment. Once it heats all the refractory cement up on the inside, once it heats everything up, it becomes oxygen starved, and then the inside of that forge for the majority of the time that we're forging will be just glowing white. I mean, it's really, really hot. The way this will work is we're going to get those hammers white hot, and then we're going to take them and sit them on the lip of the forge and just let them gently cool down. It's called annealing. And so it's going to be one of the situations working 2 hammers where you're going to be like, man, this is kind of boring. Because it's sort of like a waiting game now to let it heat up. Sure. But then with two in there, going back and forth, you're going to be like, okay, slow it down. So forging is one of those things that sneaks up on you. Is use it after you do a little bit of banging. We'll probably use it to fan the metal out.
Okay.
Right? So here's another little lesson in physics when we start hitting this. So imagine that this is a hammerhead. When you hit this metal, it's going to move with the grain of the metal. So what this metal is going to want to do is get flat and long. But for an axe head, you want it to spread. Right. So what you have to do is you have to coach that metal by hitting it at different angles and then moving that angle out. It's a whole technique. Okay. So when we first started making axes, our axe heads were like this wide because we had to learn. Back in the old days, they would mount those on like wagons, you know.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, right. So it took us a long. If you take a piece of metal that's been fully hardened, like a knife or a knife or something like that. The carbon molecules, in effect, are aligned in a tightly woven interlocking pattern that creates the hardness of the metal. Just like anything else, like ice or anything else, the harder it is, the more brittle it is. And so that tightly locking carbon molecules, it creates a hardenable, sharpenable edge. You just loosen it up a little bit by what they call tempering. All right, so what we're doing here is we're taking these hammers, which are, they're case-hardened hammers. We'll heat the molecules up. As we heat it up, they get looser and looser and looser to the point to where there's a condition of metal called critical. When metal reaches critical state, it's non-magnetic, which means that the carbon molecules are so loosely oriented that they can't be magnetized. Your critical temperature is the temperature you need to be at to quench. So you're like this, you're critical, you're super hot, and then you stick it in oil or some quench it, and it bonds those molecules.
Wow.
So what we're doing now is a process called annealing. Annealing will take this, it reaches critical, and then it slowly cools to where the carbon molecules are still in there, they're just not tightly wound. If you don't do that, that metal is going to be so hard to move that you're just going to blow your arms out, right?
Gotcha.
So the more we heat and the more we move it, the more we heat, the more we move it, the more loosely aligned the carbon molecules get. And then once we get it shaped to where we want it, we'll heat it up to critical, we'll let you quench it.
Okay.
That's when the soul goes in the metal, right? Realigns everything.
Got
so
it.
This process here is really just to kind of help do whatever. So all right, so at this point, I'm just trying to put the overall contour, basically the overall shape. See how we couldn't get this with the forge, so I'll use the grinder to put that in. It's always odd, you know what I mean? Because everything is so up to the individual user, you know?
Right.
So, giving that kind of advice is very interesting. What we do with the handles is also repurposed. This is a piece of red oak, harvested locally, kiln dried. So it's really nice, really hardwood, but it has enough character to it through the grain to really be something unique. So these handles, I'll show you, comes out of blocks of wood like this. And that just goes to show you, the craftsmanship involved in literally creating a one-of-a-kind unique piece. We do these for people. And they'll say, well, can you make 4 exactly alike? Or can you do 2 exactly alike? Or I got an axe from you, or I got a knife from you, can you make another one exactly alike? And I'm gonna tell you, anything handcrafted is really hard to duplicate. So everything's got a little bit of its own character to it, and that's what we really enjoy most around here. So this was a privilege, it was an honor to make. My son helped Josh and I, he's not here now, he's working. We do all kinds of stuff. If you think of anything you wanna try and can't find anybody crazy enough to give it a shot, let me know. We'll sure give it a shot.
And where can we find you? At the website or?
Absolutely. So got a website. It's www.3arrowsforge.com. And then I post most of my stuff on Facebook, and it's 3 Arrows Forge. 3, the number 3, 3 Arrows Forge. And so if you go to Google and Google Charlotte Blacksmith, I'm the first one that pops up because I got a good web guy. So look us up, man. The website is not as up to date as Facebook, but we try to get stuff out there. And if you see something you like and the price is not what you like, just call me up, man. We'll work it out for you. Like I said, it's a break-even business for us. It's a passion for us. We're just trying to build a brand, build something the family can do together, and carry into the future. So it's a privilege, man. This was a cool project.
Thank you so much, Luke.
Yeah, man.